Hi everyone, how's it going? It's James here. In the background you may faintly be able to hear this record. This is Big Audio Dynamite and Tighten Up 88. I'm not going to talk too much about this one now. I'm going to probably talk about it in part 2 of this video. Audio Dynamite of course featured Mick Jones from The Clash. So this is just one find of many kind of 80s records that I picked up in the last, I don't know, maybe month or so. This record actually blew me away. I picked it up a few days ago. This is the Style Council Home and Abroad. It's a live album, and I don't really have any Style Council on vinyl. And when I picked this up, I didn't realise that it was a live album. So I was initially a bit disappointed, but in fact it's an incredible record, and it just kind of makes you realise what a truly extraordinary live band they were. They featured the drumming talents of Steve White, who went on to play with Paul Weller in his subsequent solo career. And Steve White is the brother of Alan White, who was the Oasis drummer during their most successful period. Anyway, this contains a lot of the Style Council's hits and well-known tracks, you know, My Ever-Changing Moods, Internationalists, Walls Come Tumbling Down. And you know, I mean, the Style Council, you know, their sound is not an easy sound to reproduce live. You know, it's not just meat and potatoes rock. There's keyboards, there's a horn section, there's funky bass lines. Quite amazing the way they actually reproduce the studio stuff live on stage. Really powerful, energetic performances. Great record. On Discogs, there's a couple of affordable-ish copies, but it mostly seems to be a fairly kind of well sought after record, and I got it for next to nothing. There's a bit of discoloration on the back, but not too bad. Right, quickly show you this one. A quick shout out to Hannah, the Omaha Introvert. I wouldn't have picked this up had I not watched one of her videos where she talked about it. This is Waitresses and Bruisology. Now the song I know by them is I Know What Girls Like, but I knew the version by Shampoo. This is going back to the 90s. I didn't know anything about the Waitresses, didn't know it was their song.
I know what boys like, I know what guys want, I see them looking, I make them want me, I like to tease them.
Hannah maybe showed the record, talked about it. I then, maybe within a week, I found this at my local market stand, so I grabbed it. This is their album Bruisology from 1983, and it is great. It's very attitude-y, quite kind of balls to the wall-y, a lot of energy, a lot of great grooves. An experimental post-punk band from Ohio. The group was led by guitarist and songwriter Chris Butler, with lead vocals performed by Patsy Donahue. And this is their second and final album, released in '83. Apparently it was recorded during a period of inter-band tensions, which did result in the band breaking up. So delighted to have that. It's just on Red Polydor, and I should be looking out for their first record as well. So that is Waitresses and Bruisology. Okay, next got a couple of fairly amazing charity shop finds. I found these a while ago. There's two by the same artist. This one was priced at £2.99, and it is Bob Mould and Workbook, which was his first solo album from 1989. So Bob Mould was the guy from Husker Du, and this record saw him adopting a kind of a slightly lighter sound. I mean, Husker Du are known for their very kind of blistery, blizzardy, kind of post-punk, hard blizzardy guitars. He went off in a more folky direction for his first solo record. There's the big guy. And this album is actually very well regarded. I read up on it. I think it's had some kind of reissue in recent years, and I really enjoyed it. And it was amazing to find it in Oxfam thrift store with this daft price on it, you know. And then I also found on the same day his second solo album, which is called Black Sheets of Rain. This one came out in 1990, and this saw him return to the kind of classic Husker Du sound. It's much kind of grainier, heavier, darker. So yeah, I actually saw him live years ago. I saw him supporting the Flaming Lips in Sheffield, which was a good gig. It's just on the great Virgin label. I don't really know Husker Du's music apart from Zen Arcade. I have that as a digital download. Those two, clearly were very good things to find in a charity shop. So there we go, Bob Mould, Workbook and Black Sheets of Rain. This is Grace Jones and Nightclubbing. I keep buying Grace Jones records thinking that they're the main grail that I want, and then I realise actually it's not this one. So the grail is still to come. The grail for me is Slave to the Rhythm. That's the one I'm truly looking for. But I was really delighted to find this one. It was produced by Chris Blackwell, but it contains Sly Dunbar, Robbie Shakespeare, so it's got that kind of great Jamaican rhythm section, really inventive, excellent record, incredibly diverse. Let's have a look at the label. It's got a nice label actually, custom label. It does comprise a mixture of cover versions, artists such as Bill Withers, Iggy Pop and Astor Piazzolla, and there were 3 original songs written by Jones herself. It was top 10 in 5 countries and it became her highest ranking record on the US Billboard mainstream album and R&B charts. So delighted to find it. It's in great condition, and Slave to the Rhythm is still out there somewhere waiting for me. Okay, next I grabbed a couple of albums by the Psychedelic Furs, a band that I was into back in the day but only had them on CD, so picked up a copy of their first album, Psychedelic Furs, and then I was really pleased to find this one. This is Forever Now, which is the record that was produced by Todd Rundgren, quite influenced by the Velvet Underground, quite kind of trancey. When they came to work with Todd Rundgren, he kind of helped them work on the commercial aspects of their music, as he often did. Think XCC and Skylarking. And, he brought some other instrumentation into the mix. There's a bit of cello in there, there's a bit of marimba. Just made it a more diverse listening experience and, a bit more tuneful. And they worked on the vocals and just tried to get it a bit more radio friendly. So, yeah, great album. And I'm kind of on the lookout for more Furs, but they tend not to be kind of cheap. Most of the ones I've seen out there in the wild are maybe £8. I think I got these for maybe £6, £7, £8 each. I can't exactly remember. So not a particularly kind of like really cheap band to collect, but not too bad. And then this one I picked up from Oxfam. This is Spear of Destiny and Outlands. So this was Kirk Brandon's band in the late 80s. They specialised in a kind of big anthemic, boomy, it was kind of alt rock but with a bit of blustery stadium rock thrown in. They were kind of angling, I think, for U2 levels of success, but they never really got it. I've got very clear memories of them from back in the 80s. I had friends who were really into them, but they're not a band or a name which has particularly lasted or survived, massively. But if you see that record, try it out. Outland, it's got some good tunes on it.
Little children are waiting to be fed when you find the heart to shine. Let it shine, shine. Let it shine, shine. Let it shine, shine. Let it shine. Let it shine, shine.
Okay, this next one I picked up. I was spurred on to grab this by John Bellamy when I was digging over the summer with John here in Lancaster. I'd seen this album around a lot, but I'd never picked it up. John just said, you must have that, it's an absolute classic. So I deferred to his good judgment, and I'm pleased I did. So this is Fairground Attraction and the First of a Million Kisses. This is Eddie Reader, and so it's sort of folk pop, very romantic. It's got a sort of folky sound to it, a bit of Cajun influences. So Steve Carlton, if you're watching and you don't know this record, might be worth you checking out. The big single from this was Perfect, which is a very zesty and romantic song, but I was surprised actually at how gutsy the vocal performances are. The only song I particularly heard Eddie Reader do is a song on a Thomas Dolby album, and the song is called Cruel, and she sings that in a very soft, silky voice, but on this record actually she kind of really goes for it. There's a fair few tracks where she's really belting it out,
Now I'm determined, I'm gonna get it right. What's that? Yes! Oh, it's got to be worth it.
Again, it's got a nice custom label Fairground Attraction. I know I shared this on Facebook, and a couple of my North American friends came forward to say that they hadn't heard of the record. So maybe Fairground Attraction didn't make too many inroads into the US market. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, next one. Quick shout out to David Michaels and As Nomad. I think this is his favourite band. Pop Will Eat Itself. Those kind of facts always stick in my mind. If someone says that's my favourite band, then I know that information, for the rest of my life. Box Frenzy, classic album. They were initially known as a Grebo act. Now I don't know a lot about Grebo. Graham Watson is your man, but it has kind of elements of industrial, a bit of DJ culture style stuff. Beats and samples. It's quite sample heavy, but it's song based. Lots of abrasive textures and just a really good fun album actually. You can see from the song titles. Intergalactic Love Mission, Razorblade Kisses, it's got a real kind of rock and roll vibe to it, and just a kind of great kind of crossover sound from the 80s where there was rock and industrial and hip hop stuff all merging together. So yeah, I was pleased to grab that. Okay, so another absolute towering alt 80s classic. Here we have 10,000 Maniacs and the album Blind Man's Zoo. The title apparently was taken from a children's book. So this, produced by Peter Asher, contains some lovely, it's got a lovely insert of an elephant. And let's see what else we've got in here. It's got I think it's got a nice booklet which contains the lyrics. The inner sleeve has the lyrics in English, and then it comes with another booklet type insert which has the lyrics in various other languages. So we got there in the end, didn't we, on that one. Natalie Merchant, politically inflected folk rock, the kind of hard edge to it, lovely narrative songwriting, very complex lyrics. You kind of have to sit there and read the lyrics. They're impressionistic, but they're also political. They have a real political edge to them. There's a song on here which is, it's the song Dust Bowl, where she's in a store with a kid maybe, and the kid's wanting things from the store, and she sings, "I've tried and tried, but I can't save." She's got a really original way with a lyric. She found kind of alternative ways of writing narrative songs with a political edge to them. She's got a great voice as well. Maybe her voice is an acquired taste. She does that thing where she sings from real kind of back in the throat. So occasionally her voice will hit this very kind of hard sound, very hard dry sound. Maybe not to everyone's tastes, but yeah, a really great album. I picked that up for a really good price from my local market stand. So yeah, 10,000 Maniacs and Blind Man Zoo. Okay, just two more. This is another kind of alternative rock, pop band from the 80s. This is the Hothouse Flowers and People. So they were a Celtic influenced Irish band, specialising in kind of big-hearted, pop songs, rock songs with a bit of a romantic feel to them. You got saxophone in there. It's a very kind of full sound. It was produced by Clive Langer, who was involved with Madness. Yes, I know Brian at Shamrocking Records likes this bunch. So let's have a look and see what we have. Okay, so there's the label. And we have in inner, there's the band. Okay, so this was actually their debut album, and it was released in 1988, and to date it's the biggest selling debut album by an Irish artist in Ireland, and it got to number 2 in the British charts. Okay, and the final one for today, this is a great album. Now you see a lot of people, or a fair few people, showing the debut album by Soft Cell, which is Non-Stop Erotic Cabaret, a great classic of kind of sleazy, X-rated, bedsit, electro-pop. This was the follow-up, The Art of Falling Apart, and it's kind of much of the same thing really. It's the same kind of subversive lyrics and that kind of atmosphere of kind of urban alienation, done with flashes of irony and humour. Mark Ullman singing in that wonderful deadpan, very slightly flat vocal style that he has. I picked this record up at Atticus Books in Lancaster, a shop I've talked about many times before. it's a kind of junk shop, and they've got a couple of boxes of records, most of which are kind of crap, but then occasionally things will pop out. So this was a record that I didn't even know existed. I didn't really know much about Soft Cell. I've got a fair few Mark Ullman's solo albums on CD, but I only had Non-Stop Erotic Cabaret on vinyl, so it was nice to grab this one. So we've got Mark Ullman's, and this is Dave Ball, the keyboard player, who went on to form a very good electro techno band in the 90s called The Grid, I was really into. This comes originally from the Blackburn Record Exchange, £4.99. When I was talking about Cobb Records in a video a while ago, and I was showing all the records that I bought from this one shop over the years, and they all had the little yellow sticker in the corner, and a few people got in touch with me to say, you know, don't you take the stickers off? And I said, well, yeah, I do normally take stickers off unless they are stickers from kind of small independent record shops. I mean, you know, because a lot of these shops have now disappeared, so to me it's quite worthwhile having those stickers, because they kind of they approximately date the record, and I don't know, it's just kind of part of the heritage aspect of the whole thing, isn't it, really? So that will be staying on. And Blackburn's only just down the road from me, so it's a local record. Right, folks, so there's another load of records, maybe about the same number, also from the 80s. I'll save those for another day. This video's come in at a sort of decent time, so we'll leave it there for now. Okay, I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.